We've got the Team Shiroi X6S XL on the bench today, and we're going to be doing the full review of this 1/8 scale electric four-wheel drive short course truck, the very first short course truck from Team Shiroi. So yeah, it's time to do the full review. I've had this for about 4 or 5 days, been running it, bashing it, breaking it a little bit, and fixing it, and just want to share my thoughts. The way the review works is to go through 6 different categories, giving a rating from 1 to 5 stars, and it's graded on a curve. What that means is it's average within its class, it gets 3 stars. If it's best in class, it gets 1 star. If it gets worst in class, it's going to get 1 star. And so competitors to this in the 1/8 scale short course truck class are going to be things like the Traxxas Max Slash, the Arrma Mojave 4S, even the Hosim M33 Mojarco. Some would say the Mojave 6S is a competitor to this, but that's actually a bigger truck. That's 7 scale. These are 8 scale, so I think it's more competitive or more comparable to the Mojave 4S. But we will talk about the Mojave 6S a little bit. So yeah, let's get into the review. The Shiroi comes with the CT2R, fairly basic radio, all your basic adjustments, steering trim, steering dual rate and throttle trim, as well as channel reversing, foam wheel, 4 AA's, 2.4 gigahertz. Pretty basic radio. I wouldn't say anything special, but it is adequate. Stereo is actually pretty good. The CRHV7225, so a 7.2 volt or 7.4 volt capable servo, as well as being 25 kilograms, waterproof, works totally fine. Actually one of the better ones in its class. And then the Curon 825 2050 kV 4-pole motor. It is 4 and 6S capable. The Toro X 185 amp ESC is phenomenal. This is probably the best in class motor in ESC. So electronics wise, the servo is actually above average. Motor in ESC I think is probably best in class. The radio is adequate. I'm actually going to get 5 stars compared to the Max Slash, which is 6S, but definitely worse electronics. The Mojave 4S, which is only 4S, pretty good electronics overall. And the Hosim I think is a little bit down spec from these more expensive guys. But yeah, overall I'm going to get 5 stars in electronics category. Definitely one of the strong points of the Shiroi. Now the Shiroi is interesting because it is an aluminum chassis vehicle. It is got a lot of metal, pretty much based off an 8 scale truggy like the Kagama. That's the basic architecture from which it shares its parts. It's got all aluminum shocks, very thick shock towers. I think they're like 5 millimeters, 8 millimeter hinge pins. It's got capped arms front and back. Spring steel outdrives, which are super durable, last extremely long. All metal drivetrain, CVAs up front, dog bones in the rear. Just got the chassis brace down the middle with this, I don't know, probably like a 10 millimeter tube, hollow tube down the center. The body's actually pretty good. It does sort of get reinforced by this central tower here. Battery strap system works totally fine. ESC down here in the back. You even got a little holder for the on-off switch, and it's got all the race adjustments you would expect from an 8-scale truggy. So yeah, design-wise, I think this is definitely best in class. The bumpers also actually work really well. A lot of short course trucks have very flexible front bumpers. They are designed to absorb impact, but they tend to deform. This one has not deformed at all. No issues with the bumpers, which might be kind of a funny thing, but short course trucks traditionally have not had the greatest bumpers out there. Yeah, so design-wise, this is definitely best in class. I like the layout. I like all the adjustments you can make, the hinge pins, the divs, the chassis all bolt integrated together, so they work really well. You got the double stacked Ackerman bar, so everything on this truck works really well. The battery straps are totally fine. Battery tray works really well. This is definitely best in class design. I would take this over any other 8-scale short course truck. We're going to give it 5 stars in the design category. That's really one of the highlights of this truck. Now being 6S power, this is definitely going to be the fastest truck out of there. I think it goes over 50 miles per hour on the stock pinion and a little bit higher if you use the included high-speed pinion. So performance-wise, this is really good. Tires are pretty decent. I wouldn't say they're the best tire for off-road. I actually also tried the Mojave 4S tires. They work really well on the dirt I like to drive, but these are sort of a combo street and dirt, very soft compound. They don't balloon too much or anything like that, so they actually work really well underneath the body. The steering is excellent on this truck. It actually jumps and lands phenomenally. I don't know what they did with the tuning, but suspension is soft enough to drive over a flat terrain with a little bit of dirt, rocks, bumps, whatever, but then also stiff enough. It's got enough pack, so if you do huge like 30-foot jumps like I've been testing with this truck, backflips in the air, it will land plush. It will just kind of stick and land, not really bounce. So I was pretty shocked at how good the suspension on this is. Team Shiroi kind of mixed the right blend of huge air as well as flat ground and gave you a suspension package that works really well. performance-wise on this, I'm going to give it 5 stars. It is best in class. The only area I would say maybe the Mojave Forest has a little bit of advantage. It's a lot lighter. It also cuts through the air a little bit better. This drives more like a traditional short course truck. It doesn't have any venting or anything in the back of the body, so it just kind of flies through air. But yeah, this works really well. It is the fastest, steers amazing, and you can always tune it to get to how you want. Jumping and landing is probably best in class as well. I'm going to get 5 stars in the performance category. This is the best short course truck out there in terms of driving. I think the Mojave Forest is really close in some areas, like flying through the air, but this is excellent. This latest generation of the Kagama platform, also shared here with the Shiroi, is super durable. I would say the chassis, the bracing, the diff cases, the hinge pin braces, everything is phenomenally durable, nearly indestructible in my opinion. Even the battery tray works really well. If you watched my first video, I actually broke the front of this battery from Gen's Ace. Actually, the front plate actually broke off, but the battery tray is fully intact, so I don't think there's any issues there. One of the battery trays actually, now that they've sort of redesigned it. I did break something here though on the front arm. You can see that the front arm is actually cracked, so I need to replace that. That's the only breakage I've really had on this truck. Works really well otherwise, no issues with durability, but I am going to give it 4 stars because, you know, the Max Slash is extremely durable as well. I find the Mojave Forest nearly indestructible, although it does kind of rip off, you know, sort of the front mud flap, and the body can kind of crack in the rear, but that's also a very durable truck. This is, again, very durable. Just stuck up some extra arms, maybe shock rod ends. You know, that's another area I have broken in the past with this style of vehicle, but overall, very, very durable. The main chassis, the main expensive parts are not going to break on you, in my opinion. Shock tires, bumpers, everything seems phenomenally durable. Just stock up on a couple extra arms, which are shared with the Spark, and I think you're good to go. Team Corelli is a smaller brand here in the US that have been making a lot of improvements in getting parts support, better distribution, better dealer support, and you can pick up parts from AMain directly now. That's one of the larger distributors here in the US. They're also sold through Hobby Recreation Products, as well as retail stores like RC Hobby Explosion, Garage Life RC. So pretty cool that they have a little bit of a network, but definitely not as big as Traxxas or Arma here in the US. Now, it may depend on where you live. If you're in Belgium or Poland or somewhere in Europe, maybe you've got better part support. But here in the US, Team Corelli is definitely a smaller brand. So I'm going to give it an average rating within the part support, maintenance sort of category. It's not as low as the Hosim, which pretty much you're going to have to buy parts online. Not as good as Traxxas and Arma, which are carried pretty much by all the hobby shops here in the US, but pretty decent support. Working on this truck also a little bit more difficult just because of all the bracing. I mean, they designed this thing for durability so that nothing will break, but there's a lot of bolts, nuts, things that you'll have to remove if you want to get to the, you know, chassis, the diffs, that kind of thing. A little bit more than your average short course truck, but overall, you know, support and maintenance is somewhere I think they're doing fine. 3 stars, average within its class, not below, not above, but, you know, kind of typical for something of this type. The Max Slash sells for $700, but it is all plastic. Plastic axles, plastic chassis, you know, even the plastic shock tires, all that kind of stuff. So definitely on the expensive side. The Hosim is a ridiculous deal. Regular price is $500, but at the time of this video, it's actually $425. So that's $300 less than this, which is $725 for the R2R. You can also buy a roller edition if you want to provide your own electronics. That is $500 if you want to save a little bit of money. But overall, yeah, this is the most expensive A-scale short course truck in its class, so it's definitely not getting a 5-star rating within the value category. Things that like the Mojave 4S are $570, the Mojave 6X is $700, so probably more comparable to this. This is definitely the best equipped truck out there in terms of the quality of the parts you get. This is really a premium vehicle. All aluminum shocks, including the shock caps, spring steel outdrives, fully metal drivetrain. You got CNC machine divs, caps on the arms. This is definitely like the most nicely equipped truck out there. The body's amazing with the netting and all that stuff. So you get what you pay for, but I wouldn't say it's a screaming deal like the Hosim. I wouldn't say it's like way overpriced like the Max Slash. I think this falls kind of in the middle in terms of value. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. The Mojave Forest is definitely down spec from this, but $150 less. Mojave 6S does have a better radio and receiver, probably, you know, a comparable servo, comparable motor and EC, but it is slightly cheaper, although it doesn't have the spring steel outdrives and some of the other sort of quality parts you get on this truck. So overall, value-wise, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. Definitely the Hosim gaps the field by at least 2 stars, so that's 5 stars. This would probably be about 3 stars, but still a pretty solid deal. I don't think they overpriced or anything, even though it's the most expensive truck. You definitely get what you pay for when you look at what actually comes in the truck, and you get that value there. So final thoughts on the Team Carli Shiroi 1/8 scale electric 4-wheel drive short course truck. I think kind of redefines this class of truck, what you can do with it, what it includes. The handling, the jumping and landing are phenomenal. The power's there. Everything on this truck is really, really nice. Maybe just stuck up on some extra arms, but other than that, I think you're pretty much good to go. It's durable, it's fast, it drives well. Value is pretty reasonable. Support and maintenance is pretty reasonable. So overall, you could argue this is probably the best short course truck out there. You will have to pay a little bit more. This is the most expensive truck, but if you want the best, it's hard to argue that this isn't it, because it is a great truck overall. The only thing I might also change is maybe the radio. If you're more of a racer, I would see this as kind of being probably pretty good in our 8 scale short course race truck class. There isn't too much of that out there, but there seem to be pretty good offerings now. I would go with a different radio just to get a little bit better response, but everything else in this truck is pretty amazing, really, really well equipped. So I'm quite impressed with the Team Carli Shiroi. This is a phenomenal first effort from them in the short course truck class. I think they pretty much nailed it. I don't really have any issues, concerns about the truck. It drives well, it looks great, and it performs really well. So hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe buttons. Look for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.